Now I know by now you're probably sick of hearing about Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, and I've definitely stopped following the whole revelations, and I've come to the conclusion that this fight is probably not going to happen. But then Mayweather actually gave me some hope after the Marcos Maidana fight. He actually called out Pacquiao's name for the very first time, and I've never actually seen that happen, and I thought, oh man, like we might actually see this fight happen in 2015. But then since that point, it seems to have taken a turn for the worse, because Mayweather's dad said this fight's probably going to happen, and then Mayweather said that he's actually going to fire his dad for making comments that aren't true. And then Stephen A even said that if he doesn't see Mayweather fight Pacquiao, that he is going to come out in public and admit that Floyd Mayweather is scared of Manny. But Mayweather actually went on a tangent, which he normally does, and says, who is Stephen A. Smith to be saying these kinds of things? And it's just excuse after excuse. Like at first it was the drug testing, and then after they came to that agreement, then he said it was a purse split. Then he's starting to blame it on Bob Arum, and then after that he was saying that the only way he's going to fight Pacquiao is if Pacquiao Pacquiao joins Mayweather Promotions. Like, come on, that's just too many excuses here. Now, of course, you can always make the argument that Mayweather's the better boxer of the two just because he's undefeated, but if you're continuously avoiding top-level competition, of course you're going to be undefeated. I could fight 300 girls and be undefeated, but that doesn't mean I'm better than the next boxer that comes along. Now, for Pacquiao, the excuses that I hear about Pacquiao not making the fight happen is he turned down $40 million. Now, yeah, I can see that he turned down $40 million, which would be the biggest payday of his career. But let's look at how much this fight is expected to generate. They're saying this fight's actually going to generate close to $300 million. Now, if you actually take $40 million and divide that by $300 million, that's actually only 13% of the fight, meaning Mayweather would actually be taking 87%, which isn't a fair split by any means. Like, this should be like closer to 60-40. If you can get somewhere around that range, then you can make that argument. But in terms of Pacquiao taking 40 million, it's just not fair. So since I've come to the conclusion that this fight probably will never happen, the purpose of this video is actually to argue if they were to both retire today, since they may never fight, which one of them would be the better boxer. Now, to actually come up with this conclusion, I'm going to use two arguments. One of them is the accolades and awards they've won over their careers, and the second is some of their common opponents that they fought over the years. So I'll touch up on this first one first. Now, with the awards that they've won throughout their careers, they both have really similar careers. Both are really similar in age. Mayweather's 1 year older. Pacquiao started pro at age 17, and Mayweather actually started 2 years after age 17 when he was 19, because he started in the Olympics. Now, Mayweather in the Olympics was actually not undefeated. He actually had a record of 84-6, and he actually had 6 defeats. Now, let's actually go on to the awards that they've won. And the way I've judged this is if you're judging a basketball player, you kind of go with how many MVPs they've won. That's how come Jordan is better than Kobe, for instance, because Jordan has won more MVPs, and he's also won more championships. So if we actually look at the fighter of the year, which I would say is pretty similar to the MVP in basketball, Pacquiao has actually won that 3 times in year 2006, 2008, and 2009. And Mayweather has actually won it twice himself. He won it in 1998 and 2007. So since Pacquiao has more of these so-called MVPs, you could technically say he's the better fighter, since he has 3-2 more awards than Mayweather has won. And Pacquiao has actually also won the Fighter of the Decade award, which Mayweather has never won in his entire career. So those two things already say that Pacquiao's the better fighter. But let's go on to some other things. Next thing we'll talk about is world titles. Now, Pacquiao in his career he's actually an 8th division world title holder. That's actually the most world records won by any boxer in their career. The next most is actually 6 world titles, and that's actually won by Oscar De La Hoya. And Mayweather himself has actually won 5. So Pacquiao, he's an 8th division world title holder. He's won the titles in 112 pounds, 122 pounds, 126 pounds, 130 pounds, 135, 140, 147, and 154. Mayweather, on the other hand, has won it in 130, 135, 140, 147, and 154. So Pacquiao there has a 3 division edge over Mayweather. He has 8, while Mayweather has won in 5 different world divisions. So in summary, based on the rewards, Pacquiao definitely has the better resume. He has the more Fighter of the Year awards, including the Fighter of the Decade award, and he has also won more world titles in different weight divisions. So moving on to the second part of why I think Pacquiao would be a better boxer on paper is their common opponents that they fought. Now, the good thing about this is that there's actually no short list of common opponents. They've actually have 5 common opponents. That's including, I'll just list them out here. There's Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Miguel Cotto, Sugar Shane Mosley, and Juan Manuel Marquez. So let's actually start off with Oscar De La Hoya. Now, when Mayweather actually fought Oscar, this was actually it was one of the biggest fights. I think the Canelo fight has since beat it, but it was actually the fight that generated the most revenue from any boxing match ever, generating 2.2 million pay-per-view buys. And it was actually a very close fight. Some people actually even thought Oscar won, but Mayweather actually won the close split decision with Oscar, and Mayweather won that fight. And he didn't want to give Oscar the rematch either. Now, when Pacquiao fought Oscar De La Hoya, I guess some people can say it wasn't fair because Oscar was already over the hill, and he was also weight drained, a lot of people are saying. But you also have to understand that Pacquiao actually moved up 3 weight classes to take on that fight. I mean, he was fighting at 130. He actually only had 1 fight at 135, and then he was already fighting Oscar at 147. So he pretty much had 1 fight at 135. He skipped 140, and then he was already fighting at 147, meaning he went up 3 weight classes. And I don't even know why Oscar came in so light for that fight, but he decided to, and we all saw the outcome. Pacquiao, who was 3 weight classes lower than the contracted weight, came in and absolutely annihilated Oscar, and Oscar actually even quit on his stool. And that was actually Oscar De La Hoya's last fight, and he's never fought since that time. So definitely in this case, you'll have to give the edge to Pacquiao just because of the way he won the fight, like the magnitude of that fight. He won via TKO decision in the 8th round, while Mayweather won a very close split decision. Moving on to Ricky Hatton, who I don't think is a very good fighter. Pacquiao and Mayweather, they both had similar outcomes in that fight. They both won by knockout. Mayweather actually won by TKO, while Pacquiao scored the knockout victory, which you could say is a better victory. In this case, you'd still have to give the edge to Pacquiao because Pacquiao, he actually fought Hatton at Hatton's best weight, which was 140, while Mayweather is fighting Hatton at 147, which was not Hatton's best weight. And Mayweather won via 8th round TKO, while Pacquiao finished him off in 2 rounds. Moving on to the third opponent, Miguel Cotto. So Pacquiao actually fought Mayweather first, and that fight went to 12 rounds, but Pacquiao won via TKO in the 12th round, and he actually knocked down Cotto twice in that fight in rounds 3 and 4. While when Mayweather fought Cotto, it was actually at a higher weight. It was at 154, but Mayweather actually got pretty beat up in that fight. He won via unanimous decision, but you could say after the fight that he actually looked worse than Cotto did, and Mayweather after the fight even said it was the toughest fight of his career. Now, again, I would have to give the edge to Pacquiao here just because Pacquiao actually finished him off while Mayweather had the toughest fight of his career in that fight. So again, here Pacquiao wins. So far we have it 3-0 Pacquiao. Let's move on to Sugar Shane Mosley. Again, this was similar for both fighters. They both won via unanimous decision. They both won pretty easily as well. But in this fight, Mayweather was actually hurt by Mosley in the 2nd round. He actually had to clinch a lot to stop Mosley from knocking him out. Now, when Pacquiao fought him, Pacquiao actually knocked down Mosley in the 3rd round and actually had Mosley badly injured, or not badly injured, but badly hurt in that fight. And after that knockdown, Mosley was actually really cautious, and he just had no chance of winning from that point just because he was so scared of Pacquiao's power. So again, we would have to give the edge here to Pacquiao just because he hurt Mosley, where when Mayweather fought him, it was the other way around, where it was actually Mosley hurting Mayweather in the 2nd round. Now moving on to the last common opponent, it's Manuel Marquez. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to say, this is actually the argument that people use a lot to say why Mayweather is better than Pacquiao, because Mayweather beat him so easily and Pacquiao got knocked out cold by him. But you have to understand that Pacquiao actually fought Marquez 4 times, and yes, the first 3 were really close. You could even say Marquez won, but after you fight somebody that many times, like, it gets to a point where you kind of know their habits already, which is why Marquez was able to win so by such devastating fashion. Actually, he's been practicing that punch in camp, and he was actually able to land it on Pacquiao, which was pretty impressive. Mayweather, on the other hand, that was actually his first fight out of jail, and he actually made Marquez come up 3 weight classes just for that fight. So that's not really a fair weight for Marquez to be fighting at. Marquez was originally fighting at 130. Mayweather made him come past 135. He skipped 140, and he was fighting at 147, which was ridiculous. Like, how can you be fighting a lightweight? Of course, Mayweather won that via unanimous decision. Marquez had no chance in that fight, and Marquez just had no chance because he was coming up 3 weight classes. On top of that, Mayweather actually came in 2 pounds above the contracted weight limit, because that fight was contracted at 144, and Mayweather actually came in at 146. I don't even know why he did that. I guess he wanted more of an advantage. So he was definitely the bigger fighter. He came in at 146, 2 pounds over the contracted weight limit, and he even had to pay a fine for doing that. On top of that, Mayweather actually said he had a rib injury before the scheduled date on that fight, but Mayweather did easily win that fight. When Pacquiao fought Marquez, it was really close for the first 3 fights. It was a draw for the first fight. Pacquiao actually knocked down Marquez 3 times in their first fight in the first round, and it eventually came up to a draw. Their second fight, Pacquiao knocked down Marquez again in one of the rounds, and that ended up being a Pacquiao win via split decision. And their third fight, it was a majority decision win for Pacquiao. And then in the 4th fight, Pacquiao was actually winning the fight, 3 rounds to 2, I believe. It was actually going to be 4 rounds to 2 until at the last seconds of the 6th round, Marquez scored that perfect punch on Pacquiao's jaw, which sent him to sleep, basically. So I guess in that case, you can say that Mayweather did better than Pacquiao did against Marquez. But even then, so if you look at their common opponents, which is 5 of them: Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Miguel Cotto, Sugar Shane Mosley, and Juan Manuel Marquez, Pacquiao had the edge on 4 of those opponents. So you could make the argument that if these 2 were to get into the ring, Pacquiao would win, just because against these similar styles, Pacquiao seemed to fare better. So yeah, basically, I guess the point of this whole video was, if you were to put these two people's resumes on paper, Pacquiao would definitely have the better resume. He definitely has more awards. He's won more awards than Mayweather has, and he's also done better against their common opponents. Now, of course, Mayweather can right this wrong, but I feel the only way he can actually do that is if he actually gets in the ring with Manny Pacquiao. And if he doesn't, I'm sorry to say, Mayweather, but Pacquiao is the better boxer, and he will go down in history as the better boxer because he's done better than you, for one thing. But hopefully we'll actually see this fight. Hopefully next year in 2015, I would love to see this fight. I've been waiting for it for a long time, and yeah, like, come on guys, let's just make it happen already.
Son, fighting that little man, I'm concerned about my son's life. That's what I'm telling you.